next on our agenda is next on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Before we move on, can I make a proposition?
We have a lot of items on our consent agenda tonight, which are generally considered routine, and I'd like to thank staff for the time of preparing these items and my fellow board members for reviewing them ahead of time. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Very roll call.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Trans.
Yes.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Babcock.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, thank you very much, and motion carries. Now to a new business ordinance number 1007. This will be introduced by our town clerk, treasurer, Mary Strutt.
Sorry, give us just a minute for the signatures. All right, thank you. So I'm here today to talk about the proposed tax on warehouse and storage. I'm gonna start with why we're here. We're here because we've been seeing a rapid decline of roads and public infrastructure in Mead. We've been seeing an increase in crime and public safety services and constant heavy truckloads and traffic issues. And I'm gonna go off my script for just a second. Some of the things this board and previous boards have done have been very fiscally responsible for the town of Mead. We did our budget presentation in the work session, and Mead is set up pretty good. We've been very fiscally responsible. However, what this board has done has taken the time to look way out into the future of Mead. There was a revenue generation and expense management committee that was set up by this board to look at different ways to generate management and to set Mead up for the future. And so that's kind of more of what we're looking at. So we've talked about our pavement condition assessment in the past, and we've talked about where our roads sit. Currently, Mead roads are at a 67, which is a fair assessment. We did use these same studies to ask for a sales tax increase a year ago to help improve the roads, and that is helping, right? We're able to set up a pavement management plan. But it's really not enough with the current businesses that are coming into town. So the 2021 pavement assessment put us at 67, which is a fair, and I do know that these, slides are pretty small. But I put them up there to show, the reassessment that's been done in 2022. So again, 2020 is the upper left, 2022 is the lower right. You'll notice the overall, we're still at a 67 fair right now. However, the reason we're still at 67 is because we've had some new neighborhoods added that are 76 that are in that blue good range. But our downtown and our industrial areas have gone from fair to poor in just 2 years. So our roads are deteriorating as we sit here waiting to collect sales tax revenue to get some funds to pay for some of this. So there's a Department of Transportation study that shows the impact of one 18-wheeler does the equivalent impact to a road to 9,600 cars. Okay? One 18-wheeler, 9,600 cars. There's about 5,000 residents in the town of Mead. Maybe 10,000 houses, 10,000 cars in those houses. The impact of one 18-wheeler is equivalent to 9,600 cars. So we have seen an influx of warehouses and large outdoor storage facilities. They're adding to the large vehicles on our roads. They're not generating local sales tax, and they put a strain on our infrastructure and public safety services. So what would a warehouse tax do? It would help to alleviate the burden on town resources. It may help to encourage diversity in businesses. And it would be a long-term solution to increased needs for services. We are looking for equity amongst the taxpayer, larger businesses that have the biggest impact on our roads. So the example that I'm giving, again, I gave these at the last meeting, a large distribution center, we have one building in town at 386,000 square feet. Their annual tax at 20 cents per square feet would be $77,000. A storage warehouse, again, a similar facility to one we have in town, is 35,000 square feet. Their annual impact would be $7,000. Outdoor storage facility at 57,000 square feet would be $11,400 in tax. So the impact to Mead would be the revenue that you see here. In 2023, the revenue is estimated at about $650,000. In 5 years and in 10 years, those numbers go up dramatically based on some of the businesses that are projected to be built at the Access 25 locations and the Elevation 25 location. So I gave a few pros and cons. I'm sure anybody can come up with more, but here's some. Some pros are additional funding for roads and police services. Minimal impacts on the residents of Mead. It does ensure that warehouses pay their fair share by remitting annual revenue. And it promotes diversity in the businesses, may encourage more retail businesses in town. Some of the cons, if the proposed warehouse tax is approved by the voters of Mead, the commercial and industrial warehouses would have to pay a tax based on their size. This occupation tax may mean that developers of large warehouses and outdoor storage businesses find Mead less appealing. So the process, in August we did do some outreach to residents. We invited residents to come speak to the board about this. August 28th is today. We're having this board meeting if the board wants to decide to put this for a vote of the people. The board is not deciding on this tax today. You're deciding, do you want to ask the citizens of Mead to vote on it? The process of an election is that Tabor notices and sample ballots are made public October 7th. Ballots are mailed to voters on October 10th, and election day is November 8th. That's all I have.
Trustee, do you have questions for Mary on this?
Or Marcus.
Or Marcus?
I have a question for you. In your AIS, it says, the review of properties was completed using Weld County Assessor information listing of warehouse and outdoor storage. Bringing up some of the comments from the people in the audience, what, if Weld County as, let's say, a 20,000 square foot warehouse, but inside that warehouse, they have 3 tenants. Let's say 2 are retail and 1 is something that doesn't provide sales tax. Because it's listed as a warehouse with Weld County, is that falling under this, or are we, how are we gonna determine, when we're talking on these small ones, how that happens?
Do you want me to try? I'll try. So I wanna say that we first started with the Weld County Assessor's Office, and that's what I said in the AIS. We asked the Weld County Assessor for a list of warehouses and outdoor storage in Mead, right? I don't know what the Weld County Assessor uses for their criteria. They actually only gave us about 30 buildings and about 4 to 6 outdoor storage places. So their criteria that they're using does not match the definition that's in the ordinance. So again, in my AIS, I said staff went further. The community development team was a big help at looking further at businesses in need that might meet these criteria. I do believe the definition says it's the business warehouse space. So, and the outdoor storage space. So, I give an example of like, if there's a 5-acre lot that has a 10,000 square foot building on it, and some landscaping and some parking, and uses some of it for outdoor storage, right? We would work with the property owner to measure what that outdoor storage space is. You can use GIS maps, you know, that's what the community development team was using to some of this, but it wouldn't be the whole 5-acre property, because that's not all being used for storage space. The building definitely doesn't apply if it's $10,000, the landscaping doesn't, you know.
Okay, so if there's a 20,000 square foot building, technically within this, we're talking, we're saying, did we put them in? Yeah, exceeding 20,000 square feet. So are we saying 20,001 square feet and higher? Okay, so let's say there's a warehouse building that is 20,100 square feet, and it's listed as a warehouse, but it's broken up inside into tenants. We'll do due diligence and make sure that we know what's going on in every single building before we would tax that, just because it's called a warehouse, but then if you would walk inside, you'd see it's 3 tenants and it's not being used as warehouse. Are we proposing that that's what we're gonna do?
I believe so.
I think that, I think in that scenario, if it was divided and it was, you know, retailers within the warehouse, that ultimately would not, satisfy the definition of business warehouse within the proposed ordinance. Also keep in mind that the draft ordinance is also contains language so that if this board ultimately makes the decision to refer this ballot issue to voters, and if the voters approve it, right, the job of town staff in terms of how this is administered and collected, there'll be a lot of work to do, right? And that's why we have language in the ordinance that talks about authority being delegated to the town manager or designate to draft administrative rules and regulations, right, that will answer some of those questions, right, in terms of how it'll be administered and collected, right? And again, staff has a recommendation in the draft ordinance that this will apply to anything 20,000 square feet or more. But as was discussed at the last meeting, when we had a lot of these folks here present, right, that's something that you guys as the board need to decide. Is 20,000 the right number? Is it 50,000, or is it, right? I mean, those are the decision points that you know will be before you.
Okay, so with that then, and with the presentation and hearing now 2 full meetings, some talk at some of our events, and then others who have contacted us up here, I do think we're missing the mark. We started with, look at that huge distribution center going in across from I-25. And we said, look at all those trucks right now that are coming in. Granted, there is some benefits. We're getting signals at the on-ramp and off-ramp, we got turn lanes, they are paying their way in that, but we realize those trucks are definitely taking a toll on other things. But again, as we've talked and listened to people, we kept saying we were looking at these large distribution centers, and we talked about the distribution center, that's going in Loveland, that is 3 million square feet. The large warehouse we're talking about right now is 386,000 square feet. After listening to not only Mead residents, but the people this really will be affecting, I think we are missing the mark where we should be looking at these large distribution centers, these, no matter who the tenant is who comes into this rail park, who is getting 100 deliveries a day, not 20,000 square feet. And I know that some of our storage lots, there's in and out traffic, and there's crimes of opportunity there, but I still think we really need to back up and look at what we talked about at the beginning. Again, we all just said, let's look into this, but it did snowball into well in this and well in that, except that the thing we keep hearing is we didn't want to affect our residents, our taxpayers, our tax base. And that's now what we're trying to say. It's not you, it's not you, it's not gonna affect you, but so if we have to keep saying it's not gonna affect you or not, I think we've missed the mark. We need to be shooting at the large distribution center and large warehouses, and when I say large, it isn't 20,000 square feet. So I don't know if I missed the mark here and I jumped right into my comments, but it came from the questions of, I think, I have lots of questions on this, except that I think we completely missed the mark when we started with these large distribution centers. Because honestly, if by applying this tax to large distribution centers, then we maybe make that next Amazon warehouse distribution center that's, we don't have the land maybe for a 3 million square foot facility, but if they go, maybe not Mead, I'm not sure any of us are gonna go, oh boo-hoo. But I would cry if we don't have some of these wonderful businesses that not only supply us with jobs, but the retail, the sales, we always say we don't have much of a sales tax base, but some of these people have opened up their businesses during COVID and opened their doors and have tried to get us to provide Mead. Opening up a brand new business when things are downturning, when the traffic down, I just feel like now we are completely affecting the residents, but also then affecting the people who may not be residents, but they are our community. So that was my question.
Basically the same lines as Trustee Cook here just said. I think we're definitely missing the mark. We're getting confused with what we had originally intended this to do. We were primarily going after the businesses that are having deliveries in and out with 18 wheelers. And we're not going after businesses that are already producing tax revenue for the town. So if they're already having an issue and not sure of how this is going to impact us, I can only imagine where the residents are confused that don't own businesses are going, well, how is this going to impact us? And when we tried to pass, the last time we tried to pass a tax and they didn't understand it, which it didn't impact anybody here because it was a bad tax. It failed. And I don't want to put us up for that and have it be a failure again because we didn't do our due diligence and put out the right information. I think we maybe need to regroup and discuss it some more and make sure that we've got the right message going out.
Trish,
So, I mean, we did set out to target those businesses, and I appreciate staff for gathering the information that we ask you for. We ask you, what is everything in Mead? We wanted to know every business out there that could potentially be impacted in our discussions. We ask them to quantify every single business in town so that we could make an informed decision of who would potentially be impacted based on what we decide to do. So the fact that the town staff provided us with this information was not to target you guys, it was to educate us and to know who we could potentially be impacting. So thank you, staff, for gathering so much information. I mean, you really, I think, went above and beyond in looking at every potential business that could be impacted by this, and I appreciate that. I do think that, looking at it, I completely agree with Brooke and David. We set out with that goal, and I think in gathering this information, we maybe misled everybody here, to think that that's who we were targeting, and so I think maybe just, I agree with David, maybe we need to step back here really quick, because I think that this has misled people. Just even gathering all this information for us to make a decision has led people to believe that that's who we were going after, and that's not what we've been going after. So I don't think maybe that we have gone about this quite right. I don't know, we haven't gone about it wrong, I'm just saying maybe it's kind of been rushed, and maybe, we do need to step back and regroup. But I meant it in the last meeting. You are not the people we want to target. That's who we want to target. I don't want a 5 million square foot Amazon warehouse here. I don't care how much revenue it can bring to the town of Mead. I do not want that eyesore here. And if having this kind of tax were to deter an Amazon warehouse from building right there, guess what? Yay us. I don't want it. So, I mean, just to be perfectly blunt with you all, yes, we're going to get businesses, we're going to get warehouses, we're going to get some of these facilities because we are on I-25. It's going to happen. And I'm not ashamed of us for looking at this. I'm not ashamed of us at all for looking at this as a way to recoup the costs that these businesses place on our roads. Instead of passing it on to the residents and other businesses in this town, we're looking at the source of that damage and how we can recoup our costs from them. Now, like I said, we wanted this information and it's been presented to us, and I appreciate that, Mary. So, but yeah, I agree that we've kind of gone, veered off to the side on this, and missed the mark, as you have said. So I'll leave it at that.
Chris?
Well, first of all, I'd like to agree with what all the other trustees have said. I'm looking through this ordinance, and there's two things that stand out. One of them is that there's a very good description of what a business warehouse is, and there's a very good description of what an outdoor warehouse is. In this, just reading it straight from the ordinance, it says any building, or this is a business warehouse, building or structure, any part thereof in which goods, wares, merchandise, or commodities are received or stored, whether or not for compensation, in the furtherance of engaging in business. To me, that says you're gonna bring something into your store and sell it, then it's taxable. Whereas it's really clear in the outdoor warehouse that places where you park and places where the customers are going to buy things, that everything outdoor is not taxed. I think it's a really poor wording on this, because it really needs to define exactly what everybody else has been saying, and that is businesses located inside of the warehouse will be broken down so that they are not, the entire warehouse is not the building that's gonna be taxed. It needs to be really clear that a 5,000 square foot building in a 25,000 square foot warehouse is not gonna be affected, and that business would be taken out of the 25,000 square feet, and the rest of the warehouse would not be affected because of that, and I don't think that's very clear. That was the goal. That's what we set out to do. This gigantic Home Depot building that's going in, the FedEx building, fits this exactly. Trucks coming in, it throws stuff to the other side of the building, and out it goes on another way. those trucks are coming and going, there's 170 bays at that building over there, it's massive. But if you look at any time during the day or night, there's at least 200 trucks sitting on that lot, and they got there from somewhere, and they got there on our roads. And that's what we were targeting, not the small businesses. I think we need to table this, not permanently, even if it's for a short period of time, so the board can get together, we can talk about this, we can make it really clear that we are not targeting any business in this, that you've spoken about today. Only the businesses that don't generate sales tax, and the businesses that are using our roads and not just driving in and out because you have a business. That doesn't, I mean, that's part of what road maintenance is for. I think we just missed the mark on what we wrote and how it came out. So I would like to propose that we table this for a short period of time. We may still get this on the ballot, but it will not read the way that it reads.
We can't get it on ballot, just an FYI, we can't get it on ballot. Today was the day we had to certify the language.
Is
So
it
if we
today?
table it, then we're tabling it for a year, which is fine. I'm not saying, I just wanted you to be aware.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, the only way we're gonna get this thing worked out properly, I think, is if we take a step back. So that's my proposal.
Wow. I think I totally agree with everything that's been said, but I think what I see as one of the biggest failings here is partly nomenclature. It's the word warehouse. Everybody has a different interpretation of what the word warehouse is, and when we put out something in publication that says warehouse, all these people feel affected. And I understand why. I really do. We, as Chris pointed out, we did not do a very good job of spelling out what our intentions were. And I think it's gonna take more than just a little bit to get those words right. People need to understand that why we do things the way we do them, what we're trying to get accomplished, and who really is affected. And it falls on us and our staff to word things to where they are understood clearly by those affected. We can't just use blanket statements like, well, anybody who owns a warehouse is going to do that. This is what we get, and this is what we should get. And then we try to backpedal and say, well, no, it doesn't really affect you, and it doesn't really affect you, and it doesn't really affect you. That's our fault. That's our misgiving. I think that's what we need to do that. So at this point, I also support Chris's motion to table this thing. I don't think we're anywhere near ready to get it on the ballot. If we do, we're wasting everybody's time, it'll fail. I think every resident who reads it will have the same kind of interpretation as our business owners say. And why would we waste time and money to do that? Let's just do it right the first time. We spent a lot of energy on the sales tax. We've learned so much on how to put a proposal out there, and then we took one step backwards here. We're away from that. Let's get back to that. Let's word it. Let's run it through. Bring these people back. So now what do you think? Okay? And they'll tell us. I'm not worried about it. They'll let us know if they're not understanding it yet, or if they still think it impacts them, or what have you. So I support Chris on tabling this measure to a later date. Thanks.
Deb, hold on, Deb.
I can't input anything else because everybody has touched everything, so I just agree with tabling it also.
I just have a clarification, real quick. I wanna clarify, you, staff, did go above and beyond and dug deep and found us. We said, who all possibly could be affected by this? Well, we're meeting them, and maybe we should have done this sooner, just so we can be like, face with Zach Dirt, face with the Merc. Like, it's nice to put a face and a name with these businesses that are the bread and butter and the salt of the earth, and the reason we moved to Mead, however many years ago we moved here. But I just want to clarify, staff did exactly what we asked. We said, okay, this is an interesting idea. Where are we going with this? We need lots more information. What I think we did was rush to go, Well, let's ask them for their opinion too, when we were still trying to wrap our heads around it. You guys got great information, and it will behoove us to take a step back, but we said we wanna educate the voters, we wanna get their opinions before we go to ballot, but the ballot is way too close, so, thank you.
You're welcome. Helen?
If I could, thank you for saying that. I think this mea culpa, where you guys are like, oh, we failed. This is exactly what we did. For the last 2 months, we asked people to come in here. You didn't predetermine the outcome. This is democracy in action, not inaction. You didn't come in here saying you're gonna cram this down people's throats. People came in here and told you what you thought. I mean, we spent weeks gathering the data. We weren't hiding it under the rug so you would know and you could sneak in here and do this. This is exactly what we wanted. If we wanted people to come forward. This would have been the first one of these in the state. When you are a pioneer, when you're Christopher Columbus sailing across the ocean, you might run into some rough waters. I don't think what happened today, I mean, I know some people were directly mad, but they shouldn't be mad at you for considering it. If your consideration is, we need to look at it more, and maybe at the end of the day, you decide that you just want very large warehouses that we're all talking about. Maybe it only generates a small amount of money at first, but if they continue to come, you either dissuade them from coming by the tax, or they pay the toll. But this to me is a great exercise in democracy. None of you should put your head down. You should be happy that they all came and that they were very forceful. That's what, hardly anybody ever comes to our meetings. Next time we're discussing, anyways.
All right, we
I need to
change
check their
that.
arrows at the desk.
I just have Alright, we need to make a motion here in just a second, but I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. This is a great opportunity to see how we work through an issue. And it could be this crazy word marijuana, to taxes, to fees, to whatever it is. And we have to have this dialogue. We have to go through the steps of making sure we do the right thing. And so I'm glad that you all are here, on Maggie and Jean and Karen and Brad for staying with us through these meetings. Thank you for coming back, Nancy. Thank you very much, Veronica, for being here. Where'd Dominic leave? Where'd you go?
He left.
Okay. Dave Lee, thank you very much. We don't want to persuade you to move out, but we're trying to figure out how do we provide and pay for services for you, the businesses and the residents. This is just one opportunity that we had to thinking outside of the box of how to provide roads to get to your businesses, how to provide when that chief and that commander have to go and do something they don't want to do. This is why we're up here making the decision whether to do something or not to do something. We applaud your time. I know it's 8:16. I applaud staff and I applaud our police force for being here, and for the board of trustees for taking the time, the due diligence, and the research. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed at all. That, and anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will ask for a motion.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes, Chris.
I know most of you that came today that spoke about your businesses in Mead don't live here. And we could have taken this and put it on the ballot because you wouldn't get the opportunity to vote on it. And I think that that would be a very, very poor decision on our part because the businesses are what keep the town running. And I just wanted to point that out, that I'm hoping we made the right decision.
Me too.
Can I say one? I'm so
Sure.
I know. I like it. Can I say one more? Because these aren't Mead residents, some of these people, a lot of you said they didn't get noticed, they didn't, but they were directly affected. How can we change that? What can we do?
Well, when we sent out our mailers, was that just to residents or was it to every address in Mead? Just out of curiosity, that's a good question. Was it every address?
I'm a resident and I never even knew about it.
Yes, all right.
And my name's on the board.
Send it to businesses, residents.
Okay, well,
No, that's what we're asking.
so, yeah, so we need
We need to ask staff the
do
questions,
better.
Brooke. We need to ask staff the questions.
Okay, so I would like staff to look into when we solicit, especially something that, affects the businesses as well. We have to realize that a lot of the business owners, I mean, it's wonderful when they are Mead residents, but a lot aren't, but that we're making sure that we're talking to them, so they don't hear about it through the pipeline, so it doesn't, look like we're completely ignoring them, which was not our intent. Our intent was to get more information, so it would be great if we can figure out how to do better, and make sure that when we are doing these information seeking, we say, we are just looking for comments and it needs to be a discussion, but to make sure we get all the stakeholders involved.
Thank you, Brooke. I heard something about a motion. Did you wanna make it? Did you already say it?
I would like to make a motion that we table the occupational tax on business warehouse and outdoor warehouses. The ordinance 1007 to a date uncertain.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Babcock,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Trance,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlock.
Yes. Okay,
And
thank
Mary,
you.
just point of clarification for the minutes. The motion was essentially to postpone to not a date certain, so that under the rules of procedure, that's a motion to postpone indefinitely, which essentially kills this current version of the ordinance, and it would have to be brought back at a future work session by request of the board of trustees. But that's essentially what the motion was to postpone indefinitely, postpone indefinitely.
Did you get everything? Okay, motion carries. Now, for the second public comment of the evening, is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak? Veronica, Rodney, I'm sorry, I'm calling you by your first name, please come up, nobody can hear you, but the microphone.
Thank you for postponing it. I have one thing to say, that what Dominic, the very first speaker, you had mentioned that this was the first of its kind. There's a reason. Your attorney needs to really look into this. What this tax, this is an occupational tax, is what you're trying to do, but you're making it a property tax. If you get this through and it becomes case law, you will have every company, like Patagonia, which my brother works for, he's the lead general counsel of one of the world's largest development firms, that will come after you. You will be stuck in litigation for years. You won't get your $650,000. In fact, you're gonna be owing millions of dollars. We don't wanna see that. Mead is our hometown. We do not wanna see you locked in litigation, because if it gets case law, then you broaden it, and you know this. There's a reason why an occupational tax is on business and why property tax per square foot is property tax. There's a constitutional obligation you guys have, and you're not doing it. You will be sued, and that's not a threat. Honestly, I don't wanna see the town of Mead lose even more money, because you guys don't have any money. I wanna see you figure out a way, it's true. I wanna see you guys figure out a way to succeed.
Thank you,
But please heed his warning.
Thank you, Veronica.
I'd like to thank you for considering our comments. Seems like a proper decision, so thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Mary, for the time you had given me on the phone. I wanna let you know that I didn't receive the letter to our business post office box that is in the town of Mead. I did receive the letter to my residential post office box that is in the town of Mead. I have 4 different post office boxes at this post office. I did get the card addressed to our business address, so just wanted to clarify that. It did come to business, it came to all
Or
my,
just that card.
just the postcard that came this last
This
week.
might be the post office too, like, and
Very well could
because that's how we do that kind of mailing, right, is through the, just postal code address, so.
One other thing I'd just like to bring to the board's attention is as you reconsider this, don't vilify the truck. I am a truck driver also. I drive cross country. I'm trying to get out of that business right now, but please don't vilify the truck, as the trucks move America. Frankly, you don't have a town of Mead without a truck. When I heard your comment of 118 wheeler equals 96 cars, 9,600 cars, it's very easy to twist numbers. I don't know how it was a simple statement, and I don't know how that is derived, but in mathematics, an 80,000 pound 18 wheeler produces 4,400 pounds per tire of weight to the road surface. So I'm not sure how you can equate 9,600 cars to an 88,000 or a 4,400 pound per tire vehicle. So anybody can make anything out of numbers. It's just a matter of how you read it. So please don't vilify the truck in the business. Also, as a truck driver, I could almost guarantee that none of those FedEx trucks are going to be 80,000 pounds. They are probably going to be in the 40 to 60,000 pound range. The Home Depot trucks, on the other hand, will be 80,000 plus trucks. From my understanding, it's a lumber facility. They could be upwards of 100,000 pounds. So when you move into multi-axle tractor trailers, you have 5 axles at 80,000 pounds, at 4,400 pounds. The more axles you put and the more weight per block, the less impact it has per tire. So it's actually, it kind of works against itself. So just wanted to let you think about that before you vilify the trucks. Thank you.
Thank you, good luck. Anyone else that wants to be here or wants to address the board? Ma'am? Oh, sorry. No, I've got everybody.
My name's Meredith Reed, and I live at 5313 County Road 38. I wasn't gonna speak, I spoke the last time. You know, every day I see the FedEx trucks go down my road. I'm curious, where are they gonna go after you decide all this? Are they gonna continue down my road, 38? Once they leave road 9.5, I believe it is, do you know?
I'm not sure, which side of 38 do you live? I don't know where you live. So are you on the east side of I-25 or on the west side of I-25?
East side, where the big development's going to be built, and supposedly you told me that 38 will be paved by the developer, I
South
guess.
Syrian, north of FedEx on Mead BOT.
Well, all I can say is, all the roads that we're talking about are public roads. So any vehicle that's licensed in the state of Colorado or is legitimately licensed can drive on any road. I'm not sure why they'd be heading east on 38, east of 9.5, but.
Well, they are.
Well, they would be allowed to. Right now, there's an occlusion at Welker, so they can't get across. So it's kind of every man for himself as far as where the trucks go. But as far as their ultimate traffic pattern, it wouldn't make sense for them to be heading over there. A lot of trucks, most of the trucks are heading either south or north on I-25. That's, if you looked at the traffic report, that's what they're supposed to do, but they cannot be blocked from driving down 38, 36, 34, they are allowed to.
Yeah, unfortunately for me.
Yeah,
Probably has to do with the bridge that's out and then trying to detour around FedEx.
My
Hopefully
guess-
that will be open in a couple months. back open in a couple of months.
My guess is that, they're coming down Colorado 13 because I-25 is so backed up. So they come down 13, cut across 38 to get there. Once 25 is finished, we may see some of that diminish, because then they'll be able to use.
Yeah, I sit on my back porch and I can tell you when I-25 is bumper to bumper
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yeah. And they know it too, so when they
Yeah,
see
and then
that,
they
they'll
hit
pull off.
13,
Yeah,
and
pull
they
off.
cut down 38 to get over, because the frontage road no longer
No.
exists.
No.
So,
They
just
come down.
curious,
Yeah.
just wanted to let you all know. I see the FedEx trucks all the time now. I'm looking forward to the Home Depot trucks when they come.
Thank you.
My name is Cassie Gifford. I own Knuckle Puck Brewing, for anyone who doesn't. A lot of people don't know it's there. I've seen you, nobody else.
Who were you pointing at?
I'm giving back. I'm giving back. So, thank you guys so much. Obviously, we're a small facility, so if we're going up to bigger numbers, that doesn't affect us directly. It will affect us, however, like all of those employees that need a drink on their way home, or because they can't get on I-25 and wanna just stop in on their way, then it would potentially affect us. But the other thing is like, I would just really encourage everyone, like, if we wanna grow this community, you've got to support your small businesses. Like, you guys need to go to the market, you need to go to the grocery stores, you need to go to the barbecue restaurant. You know, like, we have to do that. Half the town doesn't even know we're open there. Like, I can only do so much on social media and walking around like a crazy person. I used to be a Mead resident, we actually, do you need my address? Yes. Okay, just recently moved to another Mead area.
You don't know your address?
11371 Barber Street. What town? Well, it's Firestone, but we don't get mail apparently unless you put Longmont, so. And, we did not get a mailer either, I'll say that. But that's just like my plug, it's just support the businesses, you get tax revenue from that, but I really appreciate it, you guys are dealing with it.
Thanks, Cassie. Thanks for mentioning my name.
In that context.
I support small businesses. Is there any other public comment in the room? Come on up, and then we'll get to you folks that are with us virtually.
Yeah, I don't think there is a problem with the board so much as your.
Could you, state your name?
Oh,
and
John
your address?
Seepage, 67, 69, working with the chief. I don't think there's so much problem with the board, but your staff needs to do a better job. And, you know, I think you've been misinformed. And also, we did get the correct information. I mean, you would have put a couple guys out of business with the tax that was proposed. So, but I don't see, I think your staff needs, you know, has always been a problem here in Mead. And, I think that has to be addressed at some point, because you're getting some bad information along the way, so, anyway.
Thank you. Anyone else here? Last call. Anyone with us virtually that would like to speak to the board during this second public comment period? All right. We thank you very much. We're gonna move on to our elected official reports. Any of the town trustees would like to say anything or report on anything? All right. In your packet, there's a letter of support that I'd like to just bring up. It's a letter of support for oil and gas development. I would like to have your support in signing this on behalf of the town of Mead. I would be happy to answer any questions from any of the trustees. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Is there anything before we move to adjournment? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Shrinz.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Babcock.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The August 29th, 2022 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees now adjourned at 8:33. Thank you, enjoy your night, and safe